Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are still working on this bathroom vanity countertop. The last video did not go very well. If you haven't seen that one, make sure that you go check it out. But I think I have a game plan that's hopefully gonna work for this countertop. But first I want to say thank you to all of those who did watch the last bathroom video and saw me struggle and were super encouraging. You guys were so nice about when things don't work out the way that you think they're going to and just telling me that I can do it. So I am not giving up. Here is what I think we're gonna do. So here's where we left off. If you watched the last video, you'll remember I'm trying to do an undermount sink here and I cut this hole too wide. I had to put these pieces back in. And so the new game plan is to use my router to kind of sit like this, and it's going to make a clean cut. But the problem was I built this countertop to be super thick. It's 1.5 inches thick, so I had to order a special router bit that would be that thick. And we're not just gonna do this by hand because I've learned my lesson trying to do things by hand with the jigsaw. I have another plan for that. So I'm gonna take these scrap boards and I'm gonna make a jig that the router is going to follow. So I'll have these laid out to the measurements that I need to cut, and then I will clamp them all together, and then I will clamp that to the actual board. So when I go through with my router, I'll follow the outline of the inside of these boards, and hopefully it'll be a more consistent, smooth cut. Fingers crossed this works out, because after this, I'm out of ideas. Okay, here we go. All right, guys, I am calling it. I mean, it's not terrible. A couple of the sides are good, but like this is just ripping out the piece that I had glued in, and the corners are just not looking how I want them to, and I just know I'm not gonna be happy with it. I'm not gonna lie, this does make me feel like a failure, but I'm not going to focus on that because I still have a couple of options at this point. I can try to find a drop-in sink that has kind of a low profile maybe that I can live with, or to price out like maybe what quartz or granite would be at this point by the time I buy the epoxy and buy a new drop-in sink. Just price those out and see what the difference would be between the two. So I still have options, so it's not done, it's just not working out the way that I wanted it to. Okay, while I think about all of that, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Sunday. Sunday is a subscription lawn care that you can DIY, which is right up my alley. If you guys saw my last video, you might have noticed that my yard needs a little bit of work, a lot of work. It is super easy to come up with a customized plan for your lawn. You just go online, and I was able to put in my address, and they were able to come up with a tailored plan based on the specific needs of the grass in my area. And also they were able to determine the square footage of my yard. So they were able to send me the appropriate amount of product that I would need, and then they will ship that for free right to your door. The Sunday products were designed with safety in mind, so there's no harsh chemicals, and they are super easy to use. You just unscrew the pouch, and then it comes with these little pieces right here that will hook straight onto the pouch and then screw onto your hose, so you can just water your lawn and give it all of the nutrients that it needs at the same time. This is gonna be a game changer for my lawn because it definitely needs some help, and Sunday makes it super easy to know exactly what my specific lawn needs. So if you guys wanna check it out, you can click the link in the description and you can use my code, which is Kelsey DIY20, and you can get 20% off a year subscription for all of the things that you'll need for your lawn. So go check them out. Okay, it's the next day and I've been thinking about it over last night and weighing my options, and I have decided to not let this countertop take over my life. The price for the granite or quartz was more than I wanted to spend right now, so I think I've decided to go with a drop-in sink. Now, I do still think the undermount sink can be done, but I don't have the time or the patience right now. I still have another bathroom to do, so maybe I'll try it there, we'll see. But I did find a couple of options of drop-in sinks that I think could look really nice. I wanna show you guys. So I grabbed both of these sinks at Lowe's, and I think that they're both good options. I think this one looks a little higher end, as it should, because it was more than triple the price of this one. And I like how the holes are spaced out because I think that's going to work better with my hardware and the little details and stuff. They're kind of about the same size, and I thought I was going to get away if I went with this one with not cutting any more on the countertop, but I still have to cut. So yeah, I'm leaning toward this one right here. I like that it has the low profile, and I think that that one will look really nice.
When we wake, and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. You and I, the future is bright. Oh, you and I, we got it. Oh, we don't need no more. Oh, even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. Before I sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon. Side by side and through. No limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight.
Okay, that was tons easier than trying to route it, but I think it looks very, very nice. I'm happy with it. This is the faucet that I'm gonna go with, and I think these are really cute with the little cold and hot, and I was just making sure that it's gonna like the appropriate size with everything. And now that I've done that, I'm gonna take that out, and then I'm gonna give the countertop like one last sanding with the 220 grit, and then I will prime and paint. So for this first coat of paint, I am using a primer to get some really good adhesion to the MDF and making sure that I cover all of the MDF, because when it gets wet, it will swell, and I definitely don't want that to happen being in a bathroom. The epoxy will also offer protection, but just in case, it can't hurt. Also, I'm making sure to get underneath the countertop, especially on the front and sides, because that's going to be the overhang for our countertop. So you will see that from the ground. You won't see it often, but still, I want it to be thorough. And after I'm done with that, I just gave it a light sanding with like a 220 grit sanding pad just to smooth off any little spots. And then I went in with a second coat, which is my wall color that I have in my home. It's a little bit warmer than the primer. Okay, I let everything dry overnight and we are good to go for the epoxy. I have an epoxy video that I did before for my kitchen countertops, and I'm gonna be doing the same process. So I'll explain a little bit what I'm doing, but if you wanna know more in depth about it, you can go check out that video. I'll link it down in the description. One thing that I did forget about until this morning was a backsplash piece. Now I may or may not end up using this. I probably will, because I don't trust the walls because they're not gonna be straight, I'm sure. So I just wanted one back piece that I'm gonna epoxy just in case. So I am using the Stone Coat Countertops epoxy. Stone Coat has a YouTube channel. They have really good videos and tutorials, so that's what I'm going to be doing. The epoxy is a two-part process, so I am taking part B and pouring it into the bucket first, and then I will add part A because A is thicker and it mixes better that way, and it's a 1-to-1 ratio. And then I'm taking this drill attachment and mixing the epoxy for about 4 minutes, and then I'm pouring all of the epoxy into these separate cups because I want to tint it separately. And I want the majority of my countertop to be very light. So I am tinting 2 of them with that dye. I will link everything down below. And then I am taking this white spray paint in the 3rd cup. And it's just going to be a little bit different than the white dye to give it a little bit of dimension. You can get as creative as you want through this process. I just know that this is what I like. It's worked for me before. And then I'm taking this gray spray paint, and this is going to be my accent color that's going to give us our veining. And I'm just using popsicle sticks to really stir those up really well. And then I will take a little bit at a time from each cup to layer on top of each other. And I'm not mixing these together because it will just make one solid color. But doing it like this, when I pour it out onto my countertop, it will pour out different colors at different times so we can get some really organic movement in the countertop. And then after that, I will take my blow dryer and really manipulate the epoxy, kind of warm it up so it moves. I don't want to use a trowel because I don't want to mix it all together. I want to keep the veining that you're seeing here. And then I am making sure that I get all of these bubbles out. It's going to make air bubbles whenever you blow it with the blow dryer and just naturally. So all of the air bubbles will pop when you apply heat with that butane torch. One of the things that makes this epoxy so user-friendly is you have quite a while before it starts to harden, so you can kind of use a chopping motion like this with a paintbrush to blend any of the areas that might be too harsh. This is going to create air bubbles, so you're going to have to go back in and pop all of those little air bubbles that rise to the surface. The heat is really, really good at doing that, and it's kind of fun to do. And then after probably about 30 minutes, maybe, I took the tape off. I think I may have waited a little too long because it was really hot where I was. And I am just taking my hands and spreading the epoxy on the sides and also underneath the countertop because I want that protection for the MDF under that countertop edge. And then I felt like I had taken all of the dimension away. So I took some gray epoxy and kind of added some more subtle veining, and then just making sure I get all of those air bubbles out. This is what it's looking like. Now, I am making sure that I use the torch whenever bubbles pop up, maybe checking it every 15 minutes or so. But I am not a stone expert, but I'm pretty proud of this. I think this looks like stone. Okay, I let this dry for about 24 hours. Now there were some spots on the side that where the epoxy was like, look like different runs. And so I'm sanding those off, and I'm just gonna give a very, very light sanding with like a 220 grit over the top of the whole thing. And then I'm going to put a top coat on it. Now this is not super necessary, but I already had it and it's worked well in my kitchen. So that's the plan. So the top coat is not quite as forgiving as the epoxy. You have about a 15-minute window to get this applied, which is probably why I forgot to film after I applied it. I took a dry roller and back rolled to get rid of any of streaks or roller marks or anything and remove the excess product. Okay guys, this is how it turned out. Let me know in the comments what you think. Does it look real to you? I think it does, but I also made it, so I'm a little biased. But I think that the sink and the faucet looks nice. It's just like, it's working really well together, and I'm really excited about it. That's it for today's video. Next week we are going to be working on the vanity and getting it raised so we can install this thing. So I'm gonna let it sit there all week and really cure and harden, so when we install it, it will be ready to go. I will see you guys then. Bye.